Another day, another story. If you haven't seen the northern lights this year, now might be your last chance. And what a fun way to ring in the new year. The Space Weather Prediction Center (SWPC) issued a geomagnetic storm watch for December 31, ahead of an incoming solar storm caused by an eruption of solar material, otherwise known as a coronal mass ejection or CME, that happened on the sun's surface on December 29. A CME explosion is caused by the sun's magnetic field and, like in this case, can sometimes result in incredible aurora displays. Welcome to Tabo Eminent channel. The SOPC said that the G3 level of the geomagnetic storm is infrequent but not uncommon, and that the aurora may become visible over many of the northern states, as far south as Illinois and Oregon. NASA reported that northern lights visibility hit a 500-year peak this year because of the frequent solar activity, with the sun having reached its solar maximum in October. What to know about geomagnetic storms? These storms are caused by several solar-related changes that impact the Earth's magnetosphere. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association (NOAA) explains. The largest ones, like the one expected to occur on December 31, are associated with CMEs. Sometimes, solar storms can cause issues with satellites and navigation systems, and can cause problematic currents with power grids and pipelines. NASA reports that thanks to Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere, residents are not directly harmed by any of these storms. Instead, they can witness solar flares and northern lights, as is expected in this case. According to the NOAA, solar storms of this scale are predicted to bring an aurora that will become quite bright and active. When will the geomagnetic storm occur? A storm watch is in effect for December 31. CMEs travel several million miles per hour, so the NOAA predicts that the best time to see the lights would be between 10 p.m. ET on December 30 and 10 m. ET on December 31, according to space.com. There's also another anticipated time slot of 4 p.m. ET on December 31 to 10 p.m. ET on Jan 1. Who might be able to see the lights? The SWPC anticipates that Alaska will have the best chance of seeing the lights starting Monday evening. Other states that are likely to see the lights are Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. New York, Oregon, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are along the aurora's projected view line as of Monday. The best way to view the lights, the NOAA says that viewers must get away from city lights to best view the aurora. Even if the aurora is reported as being active during the day, the best time to view the lights is usually within an hour or two of midnight local time. A full moon can also diminish the aurora's brightness for viewers, but the next full moon isn't until Jan 13. If viewers are looking at maps, the NOAA also notes that the aurora does not need to be directly overhead to be seen, especially if it's bright and weather conditions are right. Solar cycle expectations for 2025. The year 2024 was huge for solar news. In April, a total solar eclipse was visible to millions of Americans, which was then followed by multiple widespread northern and southern lights caused by CMEs. While the solar maximum peak passed in October and no total solar eclipses were forecast for next year, 2025 will still be affected by the heightened solar activity of these last few months. We could be in for a New Year's aurora treat, with northern lights potentially visible deep into mid-latitudes tonight and tomorrow, December 30 to December 31. Due to an incoming solar storm, also known as a coronal mass ejection (CME), the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) Space Weather Prediction Center issued a G3 strong geomagnetic storm warning for December 31. This is great news for those wishing to see the northern lights, as the predicted geomagnetic storm could spark auroras as far south as Illinois and Oregon, around 50 degrees as latitude. We could be in for a New Year's aurora treat, with northern lights potentially visible deep into mid-latitudes tonight and tomorrow, December 30 to December 31. Due to an incoming solar storm, also known as a coronal mass ejection (CME), the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) Space Weather Prediction Center issued a G3 strong geomagnetic storm warning for December 31. This is great news for those wishing to see the northern lights, as the predicted geomagnetic storm could spark auroras as far south as Illinois and Oregon, around 50 degrees as latitude. Current predictions place the highest level of activity, G1 to G3 conditions, between 10 pm EST on dis 30 and 10 am EST on dis 31, 0300 GMT and 1500 GMT on dis 31. Another spate of activity is currently anticipated for between 4:05 pm EST, 2100 GMT on December 31 and 10:12 pm EST, 300 GMT on Jan 1, with G1 conditions expected. Check out NOAA's 3-day forecast for the latest timings. Note that timings are listed as UT. Keep in mind that space weather, much like Earth's weather, is unpredictable and difficult to forecast. Even though geomagnetic storm warnings at this level are rare, they can occasionally amount to nothing. If you're interested in tracking space weather and knowing when and where to spot auroras, download a space weather app that provides forecasts based on your location. One option I use is My Aurora Forecast and Alerts, available for both iOS and Android. However, any similar app should work well. I also use the Space Weather Live app, which is available on iOS and Android, to get a deeper understanding of whether the current space weather conditions are favorable for aurora sightings. The sun has unleashed a set of powerful solar flare that could cause communication disruptions and allow people to see the northern lights. The class X1.5 and X1.1 flares are some of the most powerful kinds possible. It was released on Sunday and could cause disruption in the coming days. The sun is currently in its solar maximum, or the most active part of its 11-year cycle. That means that it is more likely to release powerful flares more often. That has led to a run of displays of the northern lights, as those eruptions from the sun interact with the Earth's atmosphere and lead to stunning displays in the sky. That could happen this time around. Aurora could be visible at relatively low latitudes, according to the Space Weather Prediction Center at the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They may be visible on New Year's Eve, experts said, potentially appearing alongside human-made fireworks that evening. But space weather of this kind can also cause problems with communication systems and other important infrastructure. The eruptions had led to blackouts of radio signals, the agency said. Heightened solar activity is increasing the likelihood of northern lights displays in various regions. A coronal mass ejection, CME, is forecasted to impact Earth's magnetic field, potentially triggering auroras. The sun in the United States, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, predicts that the aurora borealis may be visible on December 31st and January 1st. States with potential sightings include Alaska, Washington, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, with possible visibility extending to parts of Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Iowa, and New York. While the possibility of witnessing the northern lights around New Year's Eve is promising, actual visibility will depend on local weather and sky conditions. Staying informed through local forecasts and space weather updates will enhance your chances of experiencing this natural phenomenon. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.